In this set of videos, we're looking at a tool called the Holomap, which helps us plan out who the stakeholders are in the space that which we choose to operate, in what we call the enterprise in the real sense of the term, rather than just the organization. So in this example, we're looking at the TED videos, the TED conferences, and their whole idea, the governing vision of ideas worth spreading. The first stage of this, we looked at what are the things and the elements that are in play in that overall story, the things, the actions, the location, the people, the events, and the decisions. We then mapped those out in terms of who are the actual players, what people are involved in all of this, who are the stakeholders in this story. Then we said, if we're a social media organization wanting to position ourselves into this enterprise, what are the relationships, our stakeholders in our overall story if we're engaged in this particular enterprise? In the next stage, when we moved from, that was the big picture, if we move now more towards scope, coming down towards the detail, what we start doing is mapping these same people out in terms of their relationship, their distance from us, whether they're transactions, direct interactions, or indirect interactions. So who are our suppliers, who are our customers? Our supplier's supplier, our customer's customer. Who are covering the space just beyond that we still need to interact with? Who are distant but can still affect us? As we move now down to an actual plan, we're going to want to do something more concrete with this. So taking exactly the same map that we've just done, the stakeholder map that we've just done, and the relationships and responsibilities that they imply, each one of these implies that there are going to be services. So what are the services that link us to a provider? For a social media organization, that's going to be things like web hosting. That's going to be things like internet service provider. It's going to be the connections that we have with our customer as well. So for each of these and their customer coming indirectly to us, they're coming into social media, we are monitoring them on behalf of our actual customer. So each of these implies that there are services. What is the beginning? What happens before a service? What happens during a service? What happens after a service? The follow-up. What is it that needs to flow between each of these? What are the products, the things that we're going to connect with? So these are the things that travel between. Documents, for example, or media records, or just, in this case, media actions in relation to something. These are the things that we are tracking. In our more distant relationships, let's say with a recruiter, we're going to have an interaction with a recruiter. If we don't want to train them, then we've got to make sure that the training relationship has happened. What are the services that are provided? What are the things that are involved in each case? What is the information that we need to provide? This starts mapping out the whole of what are the interactions here to make our job possible. So for each of these, there are services. For each of these, there are products. For each of these, there are events. This is a little mini enterprise in its own right that supports our own enterprise of social media, where we are positioning ourselves in the broader enterprise of ideas worth spreading. But every single one of these implies services, products, events, things. We use this to, having mapped out who the players are and the stakeholders in relation to us and the distance in relation to us, this is how we can start mapping it out, using it for the first stage of mapping out what services are and what we need to provide and support in the process. Thanks for watching. Do look at the YouTube description for links to further detail. And don't forget to subscribe for other videos, and also to support us on Patreon to help us produce these videos and the tools themselves.